Great, thank you very much. Yes, so I am Josie Houghton. I'm the ICS COI industry lead. What that means is that I'm a member of the steering committee, and my role on the steering committee is representing industry. I'm also, my actual day job. I'm the cyber and ICS security lead for Rolls-Royce SMR. We're currently designing small modular reactors. So my role for Rolls-Royce SMR is designing the cyber protection systems and providing all of the security leadership on within the design. So on this first slide, and there's a poll in this slide. So the NCSC has identified a number of challenges that affect critical national infrastructure. So the NCSC, just as it's an international audience, they're our National Cybersecurity Centre. So they've identified these challenges, and a few years ago they looked at, well, how do we solve these challenges? So they started looking at, well, how about we set up a community of interest? And
Excuse me, are you sharing the slide deck?
I think I am.
No, did you, let's just check. So if you hit share and then choose the screen that you may have it open on, maybe that's the problem.
Okay, let's try again.
Brief pause here. Oh, looks like it's coming in.
There we go.
Perfect.
Yep.
Go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. So they identified these 6 areas, and they set up the Industrial Control Systems Community of Interest to act as advisors, because the NCSC were looking for input from wider industry, but also this allows it gives the NCSC an opportunity to speak with the community as well. And so they've actually got 2 schemes. There's the community of interest that I'm talking about, and they've also got the I-100 scheme. Now, the I-100 scheme is they take volunteers from industry, and they do up to 100 hours of volunteering on behalf of the NCSC. So this means that the NCSC has access to experts from throughout critical national infrastructure, throughout manufacturing, that all actually know what they're talking about OT cybersecurity. So it's actually quite a useful partnership. Did we put up that poll? Brilliant. Yeah, so what I'm interested in is, which of these 6 areas are you struggling with the most right now? So we've got understanding the cybersecurity threat, we've got cybersecurity asset management, we've got cybersecurity logging and monitoring, there's securing the cybersecurity boundary, cybersecurity identity and access management, and cybersecurity incident response and recovery. So we're just slowly seeing responses kind of jump in right now. Yeah, and it is difficult. I mean, so far we've got incident response and recovery coming up as the highest by quite a margin. And yeah, it's hard. Because a lot of incident response guidance is designed for IT. And actually, when we have an OT incident, the priorities in the incident are very different. Having safety as the number one priority is something that an IT incident response team may not be used to. So let's stop that poll now and move on. So what is the ICS COI? So we provide a UK-based community where ICS cybersecurity expertise has a voice, where knowledge of cybersecurity and related safety can be exchanged to the benefit and well-being of the UK. And we've got quite a diverse set of members. We've got academia, we've got industry, we've got the NCSC, we've got vulnerability researchers. We try to get a little bit of every part of the UK's OT cybersecurity industry. And we've got over 600 regular members. And I think the important thing there is that we're not just talking about critical national infrastructure, we're talking about all OT in the UK, because actually the problems are very much the same. So moving forward, so the growth and the impact of the ICS COI. So it's been running 8 years maybe now. It's been running quite a while. We've got a fantastic range of members from all over the industry. We're facilitated by NCSC I100 volunteers. We've also got a web presence on the RITICS website. We have monthly steering group meetings, quarterly COI events, and monthly lunch and learns. And then the big thing that we've got is the expert groups. So you can see that wheel in the middle. We've currently got 6 expert groups that meet up on a regular basis, and they will look at what are the challenges in each of those 6 areas. And what they're doing is they're producing guidance. They're supporting academia, so our partnership with RITICS has resulted in multiple research papers. They develop guidance. We also provide advice to the NCSC, and we also provide advice to local government departments. So we've got a huge amount of interaction there. But really, the power of those expert groups is it's people who know what they're talking about, debating the issues within OT cybersecurity. So for example, I'm a member of a security testing expert group. And actually, the biggest take home that we've gotten from that is that none of us agree what security testing actually is. And there's so much sloppy language in OT cybersecurity that, is security testing penetration testing? Is it red teaming? Is it an assurance exercise? It could be any one of those things. And so actually getting together as a group of experts and writing some guidance where we can clarify what we mean when we talk about security testing, I think that's incredibly valuable to the wider community. So the steering group, there's quite a large group of us involved with the steering of the ICS community. You can see there's lots of different organisations represented. We've also got a mixture of, we've got government departments, we've got universities, we've also got things like industry, major vendors. So we've got a good mix of people involved in the steering committee. And then finally, our membership. So I talked about that a little bit before, over 600 members, and we accept pretty much any job title. You won't see any just pure business development or salespeople in the group, but we do have everyone else. And that's quite an exciting group of people to bring together. So recent events. So we have our monthly lunch and learns, and every lunch and learn has a topic. And they tend to be an hour and a half session where we'll have 3 different presentations and we'll dig into a specific category of interest. So for example, this week, we've got a webinar on OT forensics. We've got 3 speakers. We've got one from industry, one from academia, and one from a vendor. And we always accept people coming in that aren't members. So for example, if you want to talk on a particular subject and you think it would be of benefit to the ICS COI, you can email icscoi@ncsc.gov.uk and we will look at that presentation and decide whether or not we can fit it into one of the lunch and learn sessions. So the expert groups, so I spoke about those a little bit before, but the important thing here is that we produce guidance and we've produced tons of top quality guidance. Could we have the second poll up? So at the moment, we're developing guidance in all 6 of these expert group sectors. All of that guidance is freely available on the ICS COI RITICS website. So even if you're not a member, you can benefit from all of the guidance that we're writing as a group. So topics include, so we've got supply chain standards and guidance. I've got an example of that on the next slide. We've got what to log and monitor in an ICS environment. That's actually a collection of 3 different guidance papers. The first one is an introduction to general concepts in logging and monitoring. And then there are 2 different case studies. One follows the collection management framework methodology for identifying what to log. And then the second one uses consequence-driven engineering to identify what to log. So it's looking at, which are the most important systems. And those case studies allow you to see that decision-making in progress. We've got vulnerability management in OT and ICS environments, which is always tricky. And then finally, I included a manual approach to asset management because that's the one I wrote. And yeah, asset management. It's lovely if you're in a position where you can plug in a tool and scan the network and it all works. But when I wrote this, I was in an environment where that wasn't going to work. So that whole paper is about, getting clipboards out, having meetings with system owners, digging up old Excel sheets and pulling them all together. So it was a very different approach to asset management, and it's all written in kind of a case study format. So this is one of the outputs. So the supply chain expert group produced an infographic that shows all the different standards involved in supply chain. So in the center, we've got some generic guidance. There's quite a few NIST documents there. There's ISO 27001 and there's 62443 there as well. But then we've also looked at, well, which standards are relevant to individual sectors. So, in the space sector, we've got another NIST document there. In food, we've got IEC 61511. So there's all sorts of different standards that are involved. But isn't it nice seeing it all on one page rather than having to kind of dig through through trawls of internet to try and find which piece is actually relevant to your organization? And the guidance, as I say, it's freely available to anyone who wants it. So yeah, it's something that you should definitely have a look at. So the first thing I'm going to say, and I realize this is an international webinar, members must be based in the UK. But if you are in the UK, you should definitely join us. We are quite a long established group. We meet regularly. We have absolutely tons of top quality content. We have talks from leading vendors, and we insist on no sales pitches as well. There's a minimal commitment to show up unless you volunteer for the expert groups, in which case you are expected to take part. And on the eligibility, you must be working in ICS and OT security. We don't accept business development or sales roles, but we do accept consultants. And applicants are assessed and approved as individuals by the steering group. And that's important. It's not that the company you work for is a member, it is that you personally are a member. So if you move companies, then your membership follows you, which is important because it means that we're able to retain that expertise within the industry, even as they move groups. It is free as well. That's the other thing to mention. There's no membership fees for being a member of the community. So for more information about the ICS COI, you can go to the RITICS website. So that's https://ritics.org/ICS-COI. And to be honest, you should also check out the RITICS website in general. They do research into critical systems, and they have some fantastic presentations and research papers in the area. If you have any questions, then that is our email address. All right. I'm happy to take some questions.
I think the Josie, so with some of the technical difficulties on the second poll, so for the attendees, there would have been a second poll as Josie was going through the back third, and it would be what guidance would you like to see? And again, that question within the context of her presentation. And I'm wondering if we monitor the chat so attendees can answer to that question in lieu of not having the poll presented. But what guidance would you like to see? And I wonder if there's any responses from our audience and attendees. I'm not seeing anything there. I would have I suppose myself, and it's kind of what you had talked about towards the end. And I think I already probably know the answer, but being in the United States, so I would not have, and just as an independent contractor, not with an organization that possibly
Mhm.
has a branch or an affiliate or an organization or an entity within the UK. So it's really, you're really limited as to the amount of involvement that you could have for someone like myself. Are there, do you have folks from outside the UK that do want to get involved, and what are some of the things that you've communicated to them?
Yeah, absolutely. So we accept presentations from
Ah,
people from other countries.
okay,
So yeah, that is always an open offer. If you've got something interesting to talk about and want to talk to the community, then that's always there. And as far as like individuals, yes, we do accept individual contractors, but obviously we don't accept people from outside the UK. And I guess as we've got a bit of time, I'll show you a bit of the RITIC's website.
sure.
Um, so let's share that. Yeah, there we go. So this is the RITIC's website, the Research Institute in Trustworthy Interconnected Cyber-Physical Systems in the ICS COI. So this is our kind of main central hub. We also have a LinkedIn group where we're able to have conversations as a group. Um, and yeah, everything you need to know about the group is here. So we've got the application form to become a member here. And most importantly, we've got all of this guidance. You do not have to be a member to access this guidance. It is freely
Ah,
available to everyone. And there is some fantastic stuff in here. So that was the infographic that I mentioned there. We've got loads on logging and monitoring, loads on asset management. We've got that boundary controls guidance, and we're constantly writing stuff as well. The security testing group, we've got 3 documents on the go at the moment that are all close to completion. So it's absolutely worth keeping an eye on this guidance that we're producing. And I think the other thing here is Admin Corp. So a lot of these papers are case studies based around a fictional company called Admin Corp, and it manufactures Adminox, which is a highly toxic substance. And all of these case studies are based around that scenario. So, and it and what I always say is that it's lovely seeing how the guidance is applied in those case studies. And
right,
it's a little bit flippant. We've got a factory producing red tape, but um,
sure,
but
right.
it really helps put the guidance in context.
I wonder, so 2 questions. One, Colin had posted, do you accept non-UK citizens that are based or physically in the UK? So
I believe if you're resident in the UK, then that's okay.
that applies. Okay, there's
Hmm.
that one. Um, let's see here. I noticed so on the community of interest website, there was I think I know it would be interesting for myself. So there was a blog on October 30th towards the end of last year about the um, cyber resilience audit. And I don't know if that ties in with the Cyber Resilience Act. But are there is there information from the NCSC that folks can, because it is available, that folks can take advantage of if they're here in the US, but perhaps supporting industrial control systems or IT systems within the process environment and want to kind of get ahead of the curve of the CRA and what that means to them? I'm wondering if you've had questions about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the NCSC website, I mean, again, everything's freely available there. There is absolutely tons of information there about what are the requirements in the UK, and in particular, we use something called the Cyber Assessment Framework, or CAF.
Okay.
So if you're in the UK, our equivalent to effectively a NIST cybersecurity framework is CAF.
Okay.
And there is a whole ton of guidance on how to apply CAF and what it means within cyber physical systems.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Appreciate that. Josie, thank you very much
No,
for
that's
that
okay.
presentation. Yep. Appreciate you contributing to the Industrial Cyber Days EMEA. And of course, I thank all the attendees for taking part in Josie's session as well as all the sessions today.